Because we have so many incredible new release features this year, we couldn't possibly cover them all live. So we've recorded this very special bonus content for you. And today we have, for the very first time, the Quip team to talk about their incredible new features that they've released for Spring 18. Now, because we'll be talking about new features, we may be making some forward-looking statements, so please make your purchasing decisions based on what's currently available. And with that, let's meet our product team.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Young and I'm a Customer Success Manager on the Quip team, here to ask some common questions that we get from customers. My day-to-day is to make sure folks like yourselves are successfully using our product.
I'm Logan, also on the Quip team. I've been with Quip for about 2.5 years. My job is to help our customers roll out and explore Quip and take what I learn from them and work with Diana to improve the product.
I'm Diana Berlin. I'm a product manager on the Quip team, and I work on figuring out what we're going to build and listening to your feedback on what we should build next.
Welcome, everybody. So the burning question for all of our trailblazers out there in our community is, what's behind the name Quip?
I get that question all the time, Aori. I love the story. Basically, our founders were looking for a name that was like conversational and to the point, just like their vision for the product. They were also looking for a domain name that was short and easy to spell. And turns out those are pretty hard to find these days. So they found it, thank goodness, and we've been Quip ever since.
Okay, I'm going to try and keep the Quip puns to a minimum, but...
The Quips.
Yes. But my favorite is Quip it good.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Yeah, and Quip is, often described as a tool for increased transparency and collaboration. But I'm always curious, how people describe Quip, and Logan and Diana, how would you guys describe Quip to the audience? Yeah,
bottom line, Quip is documents stored in the cloud that you can collaborate on with your team.
Okay, so that gives some picture, and I don't know, Iori, if that's a good vision for you, but what does that mean more tactically?
For me, it's a place where I can take notes, where I can record a meeting, where I can record a strategy, and collaborate on that with my team. And that can be anything from notes around a customer-facing meeting or an implementation plan, all the way to my grocery list, or our biggest company initiatives at Salesforce are done in Quip as well.
Now, as a Quip user myself, when I hear you use the word collaboration in reference to general terms, it means so much more when I think of it in the context of Quip. I mean, I've used it for, having chats with groups. I've used it for, working on projects. There's so many different things that you can do with Quip. It's really, when you say living documents, it's really taking, collaboration to the next level.
Totally. I think that collaboration is one word, but it's really about how we work together as people. And the great thing about Quip is that you've got chat rooms, you've got documents, you've got spreadsheets, all in one product, so that you can work with your team the way you want to. And having that all in one place makes a big difference. I think that, when you take notes from a customer meeting and you're able to share those immediately afterward, not just with your team on the sales side or the CSG side, but actually also with the product managers or also with the executives. I love going to customer meetings and then coming back and shooting the notes over to the exec team, and they're like, I know, we got to do it. We got to make that better. So I think that it's really the flow of the information and what you do with that information that defines collaboration in Quip.
Awesome. So what do you have to share with us today? Are you going to show us some demos? We have to have demos.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go into some demos of Quip, including live apps as well as the Salesforce record. But we also want to talk about the business impact of Quip and how it's helping teams move forward faster. So maybe that's a good segue to kind of talk about what is the business impact? What are customers seeing?
It's so funny that you asked that. It's almost like
we didn't practice at all.
It's so funny you should ask. No, I definitely want to get into a demo, and that's the point, is to really show the product hands-on. But the cool thing is what you're going to see today actually has a huge impact across companies, and that's why I'm excited to share. That's why I'm excited to work with trailblazers every day, is because when they implement Quip and use Quip, they see things happen faster, whether that's across the entire organization, having fewer meetings, spending less time in email. Collaborating in Quip allows you to just move more quickly.
Very cool. So, so collaboration, moving more quickly, all those things are great. And why would I choose to use Quip, over all the other tools that are available to do maybe somewhat similar things?
Totally. You know, I think that what's great about Quip is that we get compared to all of these really familiar household name products and even social networks. I think that people are so familiar with chat and text messaging from their daily lives. And it can be like, when would I use that at work? When would I use Quip over another tool, whether that be like a consumer tool or a business tool? I think that the great thing about Quip is that it's a business tool made to feel like a consumer tool. So the short answer is like, use Quip when you've got some business impact to create. But also when you think about it relative to even other collaborative documents, the thing that's special about Quip to me is that it's integrated with Salesforce, first of all, part of the Salesforce family of products. So you know what to expect from all of us. And then also just being able to mix and match content types in single documents. Like, it's hard to really express what a difference that makes to be able to get a live spreadsheet plus live Salesforce data plus some bullet points and a checklist all in one document.
And I know what you mean because I've seen the product and I use it heavily, but I can't wait for our trailblazers to be able to see what it means as we continue this to show the product.
Well,
Amen.
Let's go from abstract to really showing you what that means. I'll jump into a demo here. What I want to show you here is one of the things that we released really recently, which is live apps. What we're looking at the document level, before we jump in, just to orient you, this is a Quip document. And what you see is it's not just words on a page. It's a combination of words and all of these other things here. We have a project tracker, we have a calendar, and we have even a poll. And in this particular case, this might be an account plan that a salesperson, an engineer, a marketing person, a solutions engineer might use to work together to meet the needs of a customer.
And all these little parts of Quip, these little widgets, as I sometimes refer to them as, these are live apps, right?
These are live apps. This was our big Dreamforce launch. We wanted to make it even easier to get to the value of Quip faster. And what we were noticing as people were using Quip in these contexts where having the most up-to-date information was absolutely critical. Making strategic decisions, closing deals, working cross-functionally where every moment counts. And so we wanted to build some apps that you could put in documents to make that easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this really more focused on a particular type of team or a particular department, or who's the target user for Quip?
I mean, the short answer is everybody, but I mean, it's what's really cool is that you can create your own document experiences that make sense no matter what team you're on. We've got a use case here that's about a cross-functional team working together to get results for a customer. And those scenarios are really special in my mind because they're the things that you often hear drive alignment, too much overhead, slow decision making as these pain points at companies. They come when you're working cross-functionally. And so for me, the huge impact of Quip is when you're able to move faster as a company by working cross-functionally with more speed.
To that end, Diana, it's really cool, one, that we can combine all these different live apps or widgets, as Stephanie called them, in one place. But what's also cool that you'll see here is that we have a lot of collaboration features built in. So on the right-hand side of this document, I have the features or the live apps or the widgets that I need to do my job. But on the left-hand side, I also have a conversation pane. So Stephanie and I can have a conversation about this account or about whatever project we're working on right here next to the account. So,
and this is
no,
how
I think
we
that's what when you said that it's a business tool that feels like a consumer tool, and that chat pane on the left side there, that's exactly what that feels like. It feels fun. I mean, there's animated GIFs in there and all sorts of stuff. It's something that you kind of want to get into and see what's in that feed.
Hey, exactly. I'm so happy to hear you say that. That is our goal. I think that being able to make work more fun, lighter, faster, it does drive results. That's what's holding things back some of the time is that the right people aren't on the same page together. And so what's great here is that it feels like a consumer app, even on my computer, but I can also use it from my phone. I do that all the time when I'm walking between meetings. I mean, you two know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were doing that right before we got here. When we leave, we're going to be opening up Quip and checking our updates feed.
Yeah, and no lie to the trailblazers out there, every released Readiness Live is planned in a Quip doc, and I love it.
So
it's one thing when your organization forces a new tool on you to use, but I've really enjoyed using Quip. I actually use it in my personal life as well. So yeah.
I was just going to ask what your favorite live app is.
My favorite is the Kanban. Are we going to be able to show the Kanban Kanban?
Sure.
Sure.
So in this particular case, let's say we're working on this account. We have people on the sales team, engineering and marketing team, and we want to track what to do next. It's super easy for me to just insert all of these different live apps, but I'm going to insert the Kanban board per your request. And maybe our to-dos here are fix a bug, might be plan a rollout. You know, what you've already done is showed off Kanban. And you know, as we move these things along, we can move them through the process, or even comment on them. So I'm glad that you like that one. We see a lot of customers using it.
That's super cool. I mean, actually, you mentioned commenting inside the Kanban board. You can also do really cool things like attach other Quip documents into the Kanban. So, you know, if you, I'm sorry, I'm like doing your job now. But I'm a power user, I'm a passionate power user.
We love it, we love it.
Yes, so you got all these different documents that can be related back into the other Quip documents, including these live apps. Exactly.
You know, Logan showed inserting a live app from the insert menu, but we also have this amazing thing we like to call the almighty mention. It actually means that when you type the @ sign, you get tons of options, and you're able to reference other Quip documents, search for them right in line. If you start searching for another document in the mix here, you can actually like reference that document in context in the document right from within this menu.
Yeah, I like to think of it as like our Swiss Army knife of Quip. You know, can unlock a lot of different great ways for teams to move together.
Yeah, now that @ mention thing though, like, I mean, who doesn't love @ mentions? Everyone loves @ mentions, but traditionally we're used to using @ mention just to mention a person, but now we can also pull in another document, you can pull in another, you know, all these other things you can do with Quip. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that was where we went when we were like, what is the best thing happening in social networks and how can we like make it 10 times bigger? I think that mentioning people on Facebook or Twitter is one way to send a notification and people are familiar with it from that. But in Quip, we were like, it's not just people, it's people plus information that drives results. So you should be able to link up information, connect it all in one place, and send notifications to your colleagues by mentioning them right in line.
I was curious, you know, we started off with business value, we went to features and getting in the weeds. I'm curious, like for you, you said you're a power user. You know, why do you use Quip over other tools, or why would you plan some of your work in Quip over some other tools?
Well, my favorite thing is the mobile app. You know, the mobile app is just really easy to use. You know, I have access to all of my personal private files. When I'm in a meeting, you know, I'll take my own private notes, but at the same time, you know, our product manager, our project manager, they're capturing all sorts of other things that's relevant to the projects, and those are shared in other folders. So I can go and, you know, pull things out of my private documents and put them into other ones, and I can share easily. Those are some of the things that really make it fun for me to use. But also another thing that I just really love is the checkbox feature. I mean, it's so simple, but just being able to take a list and turn it into a checkbox and to be able to show like when something's done, it's just really satisfying.
Totally.
You see people using, what people say is that it feels really fast. Meaning that whether you're trying to get from a meeting to the outcome of the meeting, or whether you're starting a project from scratch or picking something up anywhere, is that using Quip feels really fast because multiple people can edit simultaneously, you can share things really easily, it's very transparent.
And you can choose when and what to share. You know, like you can have your private notes and then you can be talking with someone later and be like, wow, I wish you could have seen what I saw. Now I'm going to share them. You know, you decide when to share and what to share.
And along the lines of it being mobile friendly, I also love that it's available offline. So you never have to stop interrupting your work, whether maybe you're on the flight or on a train, you can always work with Quip offline as well.
Yeah, I've leveraged that a lot, you know, especially, you know, riding the BART train, commuting into work, you go into the tunnel, but I've still got all the documents. I'm ready for my meetings, all that stuff. It's great.
Totally. And what makes that possible is the fact that besides a web app, we've got the mobile apps, but we've also got Windows and Mac apps. And each of those apps makes sure to pre-sync data that you may need later. And all the time I find myself on a plane being like, I gotta work on this thing. Like, oh, whew, I can't. I don't need the internet for this. I just need Quip.
Cool.
Awesome.
If I may, I mean, we've gone really deep in functions, which is great, but I'd also love to just help the audience understand Salesforce Record and a little bit about our integration with Salesforce.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Quip is integrated with Salesforce?
We do. We have several integrations, actually.
Okay.
And the one we want to focus on today is called the Salesforce Record.
Okay.
And I think you guys have some good background around the Salesforce integration, right? Like why we did it and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, we've been a part of Salesforce for about 18 months. So following our acquisition, we went to Dreamforce, which was quite the whirlwind. Spoke with a lot of customers and trailblazers, and that was one of the first things that came up.
Yeah.
I was actually lucky afterwards I could go do world tours. So Dreamforce like events in Amsterdam and New York and Sydney, and everyone, it was very culturally consistent. Everyone wanted to know how we were going to integrate and how Quip and Salesforce could work together. And I know Diana has heard that a lot as a PM as well.
For sure. And I think that the best thing about being a part of Salesforce is that Salesforce creates business value. You know, like everything that happens in Salesforce is important. And so people want to collaborate around the important things in their business. They want to do that in Salesforce, and they want to do it in Quip cross-functionally across the whole company. And so our vision with Salesforce Record, which we'll show you in a second, was to be able to bring live data from Salesforce right into Quip documents in a way that you could view, edit, and update right in context when you're working together on something that matters to you.
Well, that's kind of crazy because in the past, if you were dealing with data that's in Salesforce, right, your customer record, your source of truth, if you wanted to do something collaborating with people who maybe weren't not in Salesforce, then you had to copy and paste that information into another document, you know, especially with things like executives, when you got to kind of roll up executive summaries and messaging and things like that. I think that's pretty common. But you're saying now you can just embed a Salesforce record into the document.
Yep.
Okay, I got to see it to believe it.
I'm happy to show you.
Yeah.
So again, to orient ourselves around what this particular use case was, which is a team is collaborating or rallying around an opportunity to close this opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull information from Salesforce into the document using our object or our live app. There's a couple ways to do it. For the beginners, you can search the insert menu and find a Salesforce record, but because we've already talked about the at mention,
you're all pros now.
If I just type at Salesforce record, what that does is it will pull in this Salesforce record, and I can connect it to the source of information that I want. So in this case, the opportunity I'm working on, I've viewed recently, and that's add-on business for United Partners. So by selecting it, I'm actually syncing this with our Salesforce instance and with that opportunity, and pulling information right into Quip. So what you're seeing here is information that I know is up to date. What I liked where you were going earlier, which is in the past I might have exported it or copy and pasted it in order to share context with engineers or marketers or an executive.
Yeah, but that's frustrating. Copying and pasting is frustrating because then what happens when the data inside of Salesforce changes and then people have out-of-date information, it's stale.
Nightmare.
Exactly.
So in this case, all of this data is immediately up to date.
So this is syncing in real time.
Oh, yeah.
So if somebody changes the record in Salesforce,
Yep.
this is going to change in Quip as well?
That's right.
That's amazing.
And we put a lot of thought into some of the security and sharing model. I know that that's a common question that I get from customers. Diana, what was our decision-making process around like who could make what changes to live information?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the business data that lives in Salesforce is the most precious in a company. And so we wanted to treat that with immense care. At the same time, you have to be able to make decisions based on that data across the entire company. And so we felt like there was something there if we just put the right controls in place. With help from our colleagues at Salesforce, we came up with, I think, a really good model where Salesforce admins can control whether to turn this on for their companies or not, whether to connect the Salesforce instance with the Quip instance. So that's like table stakes. Then there's this thing where you have to connect to Salesforce, you have to authenticate to Salesforce from within Quip in order to insert these records. But if you have the permission to insert it, you have the permission to view and edit and update it yourself, you can insert it into the document and then share it, choose to share it with other people on your team. So the person who had access to the data in the first place and may have been copy pasting it before can now actually share it in a more secure way with their team, where the Salesforce admin retains full control over being able to withdraw those permissions, see where the data is. It's actually a way more secure model.
Okay. Now, I'm just noticing something right there where it says pipeline, right? I'm assuming that's opportunity stage, right? No, that's forecast category. So can you change that in Quip?
Absolutely. So there's a couple different things I can do. But let's say we're having a conversation about this and we realize that maybe the next steps are going to be different. Now what I can do is I can actually jump in and say the next steps are no longer follow up with leadership and confirm a proof of concept, but rather it's fix a bug and deliver a rollout plan.
We must have had a good meeting.
Yeah, well. So what I've done is I've actually drafted an update. And you can see here that it says draft. And anyone can do that. So anyone who has access to this document, whether it's someone on the marketing team who was maybe in the meeting or the engineering team, can make this edit and have it exist as a draft. Now what Diana was saying earlier is only people who have access to the information in Salesforce can actually change it. Okay. I happen to have access to the information in Salesforce. So before I save this to Salesforce, I'm going to jump over here, and this is actually the opportunity, and you can see that the next steps are still follow up with leadership confirming proof of concept 1. But as soon as I'm ready and I've made the changes I need, I can click Save to Salesforce, and instantly it's going to be up to date right in Salesforce. So now if I look, the next steps are fix a bug and deliver a rollout plan.
That's really cool.
So if you think of what that means, it means that now I'm in this collaborative environment where I'm working with people on different teams. This is the natural place where I'll share updates with not only that team, but also sync it back so that my manager and her manager can access the information.
Okay, so how else would I use this, specifically this embedding Salesforce records into these Quip documents?
Yeah, you had this storyline earlier about like being able to do executive summaries, executive updates. I think here we're showing a team that's really tightly working together, making decisions on the fly, staying up to date across teams. But there's also a great use case for summarizing things for executives. Sometimes an executive just has one number they're obsessed with or one account that they have to know the latest on at all times. Sometimes they want a special place to go just to get updates on that. They might today be calling a meeting to get you to tell them live. They might be sending you relentless emails. Instead of doing all of that, you can actually just create a Quip document for them with exactly the fields that matter to them and no others. You can actually edit the fields that you're choosing here and strip it down to just what's critical for the person you're speaking to.
I'll say to that end, I'll demonstrate what Diana was talking about, which is how easy it is to add a field. So whether the lead source is important, perhaps the quote, or the stage, anything that's important I can really quickly add to this record here. But I can also collaborate around it. So I might ask my manager or an executive on the sales team to take a look at this, and they can really easily comment, ask questions, and not just engage with the sales team. But in this case, if the next step is fix and deliver or fix a bug, now my executive can push on the engineering team or work together with the engineering team to make sure that we serve the customer and get this deal moving forward.
Okay. Very cool, very cool.
And today we support various fields, but also 4 standard objects. Is that correct?
That's right. Accounts, leads, opportunities, contacts. That's where we started.
Cool. And if I may ask, given, I do talk to customers a lot, they're always curious about custom objects. And what's our support of custom objects and fields?
I have to say, as someone new to the Salesforce universe, I had no idea how important custom objects were. We heard it from customers, but it is amazing the variety of ways people use Salesforce and what they want to be able to accomplish with it. So, we had to start somewhere. We would have started with those 4 standard objects no matter what. But based on what I'm hearing, I think we've got to do something for you. I think we have a good start, which is that we've open sourced Salesforce record, and we have a bunch of developer documentation that can let you customize it. But I mean, the opportunity here is so huge. We've got to look into it more.
And we have a lot of cool customers doing things with our APIs to build their own custom object support today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I have a question, just very practical. And I think this is a good question for you, Stephanie. If I wanted to go ahead and roll this out to my company, what steps would I take? How easy or how complicated is it to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a common one that we hear on the customer success side. I love sharing Quip with new teams because it's not a technically very heavy product, right? It should feel consumer friendly. It should be easy to get into. And so a lot of what we focus on from a deployment perspective is making sure customers feel comfortable with things like the @mention key, either doing trainings or even envisioning like one use case to maybe get started with, and just focusing the enablement and kind of the initial few months on that one use case. Maybe it's account planning, like what we're talking about, or maybe it's collaborative team meeting notes or an executive summary. Just helping to get people in vision of what's it like to drive change and think about working differently. For some teams, just even getting 5 people into one document and working together can be a big change in their organization. And so we try to take a tailored approach in how we suggest rolling Quip out. Some teams want to do the big splash, and they just give licenses to everybody. So we run the gamut.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy to walk through as well what it would look like to actually set up, if you have a Quip account, which a lot of people do. We've been meeting a lot of people and helping people get started at events all over the country, how you could actually get from I have a Quip account, I'm interested, I'm enjoying collaborating, how do I now connect with Salesforce? I'm happy to show you.
Yeah. How do we get started? Show us.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. I thought you never asked. So I'm here in Salesforce. What I can do is I can go to my setup menu, and I can just search for Quip. And it brings me to a very simple setup guide. And you can see that there's about 8 steps. This takes no more than 25 minutes. We've actually built this as well so that admins feel like they have a lot of control as far as testing and rolling out Quip. And you can see we've made it as simple as in some cases, starting with a single click. I showed this in Lightning because I know everyone is in Lightning. I know a lot of people are trying to get to Lightning. And for those that are not in Lightning, we still have a path forward. You can actually switch into Lightning View and then walk through these steps and then switch back.
Okay, got it. Cool.
And
so this looks like a really easy kind of process to follow step by step to get started with Quip. What next? Like, what would you recommend? Like the next, once it's activated, once it's featured, what are some things that I can do to sort of help the rest of my organization understand the value of adopting and using Quip?
One thing I've learned from working with Steph and our customers is that it's the everyday use cases and it's the big strategic use cases. Experiencing both in Quip is what gets people really hooked. So I think that looking at it that way, looking at what's the everyday use case I can bring into Quip, like what's the one-on-one meeting notes, what's the checklist, what's the customer meeting notes, what's the team meeting notes, just an everyday thing that you would normally do in maybe email or even a text message, just trying out Quip for it to kick the tires, get comfortable. But then once you're in Quip, really thinking about what are the biggest communication problems at the company? Because bottom line, Quip solves communication problems. So it's a great conversation with executives too, and leaders at your company and colleagues. What are the communication problems that are holding us back as a business? What are the processes? What are the conversations we should be having and aren't? And how could we get a doc going that really gets us all up to speed on that challenge? Could be a strategic plan, could be an account plan, could be that what's holding us back as a business is we're not having enough parties. So we're going to plan a party in Quip. For real, the world is your oyster, but you've got to ask yourself, what are the communication problems that are holding us back, and what are the conversations we should be having and we're not?
Awesome.
Now, I was going to give a shorter answer, which was call Stephanie. We actually have an amazing team of people who work with our customers, helping them find the best way to roll this out. And every organization's different. Everyone has a different appetite for change. But we call a lot of our team collaboration specialists or workflow therapists because their job really is to get in the trenches with the customer and figure out where they're experiencing pain, where they have meetings that are clogging up their calendars, what processes are creating email overload, and then to work with them over time to try and move those out of email, out of meetings, and free up time in their day, free up bandwidth, and ultimately that results from getting things in Quip.
Okay. One more sort of, I guess this might be a little pro tip. I'm hashtagging it pro tip right now. Templates.
Yes.
Talk to us about templates.
Famous question. So we hear this from customers all the time. We don't have a perfect solution today, but it would be such a natural extension of Quip. One place we started was by being what can we do to help people understand the power of live apps and get started with Quip faster? So we created this app explorer that actually has templates in it. These are templates that we built with our team based on what we see works across businesses, across industries, across teams. So this is a great place to get started. I would love for it to be possible for a team to create their own custom templates and put them here.
Okay, so this is crazy. I just have to call this out in case anyone is missing it. There are templates up there for every department of your company, sales,
yes.
marketing, HR, I have never seen anything like that ever before.
The cool thing also is that not only is it for every part of your company, but the way we built these is actually by working with some of our best customers who are, industry leaders, some of the best marketing, sales,
trailblazers,
and HR. That's right. To work with them and say, how are you using Quip, and what are the best practices for someone in your role to use Quip? And then we've actually consolidated the templates that they loved, that they were using, and put them all together.
And it's as easy as getting started as clicking that blue button right there, and you can use a template, and it'll populate a new Quip document.
Awesome. And can you create your own custom templates as well?
So that's where I was headed. Not yet. We're looking into it, but I know what matters is what's possible now. So what would you recommend that people do in the meantime, Logan?
Well, there's a handful of ways. Again, I would just bug Stephanie. No.
And what? Go ahead.
I was going to say, going a little deeper, we have a bunch of different sharing options and how you can share a template. But one of the things I would do is I would change this to lock edits. And that would basically signals to the organization, this is a template that you shouldn't edit. I might even put in instructions on how to copy this document and make it my own. So if I did something like copy a document, that would create my own version of this. Mm-hmm. And we actually see customers doing this today.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of times they'll have a whole folder dedicated to the templates that are best for their company. So everyone can just come in and make a copy for their own purposes.
Very cool. Nice.
I'm curious, what questions you have, or what you wish we were asking you. You're a power user. You've gone from, I don't know what Quip is, to I use it every day. What are the things you think are worth sharing?
I think some of the greatest things about Quip is basically creating more transparency. So being able to, as a group, as a team, as a department, make more folders accessible to your entire department.
Yeah.
So it makes it more easy to discover things. Even if you don't have access to edit it, it's useful to be able to see information, and it helps to create better collaboration across the organization. So I think that's one thing that Quip is really powerful at. And also I think the chat feature is super cool. I mean, I've seen folks, pop in and just kind of let us know what's going on with them personally, and the whole team knows, and people are sending them Giphies and get well soon, making recommendations. Here's a chiropractor. I feel like it just really brings the team closer together. Even when you're remote, or maybe you're not in the same office, or maybe you're on the road somewhere, you still kind of have your team with you because you've got Quip in your phone, and there you got it. Those are my favorite things.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I mean, that's so what we're trying to do, and I think that having the right conversations is about enjoying the fact that we get to work with amazing people, other amazing human beings, and that comes down to being able to care about each other. And this morning, I was running late for our meeting, and we had an outline of what we wanted to share with you today. And I was 5 minutes late, coming on the bus, but it was in the context of the project we were trying to get done together. It wasn't off on some side where it was just me apologizing. It was I know this matters. This is the thing that matters to me, and this is the thing I'm late to, and I promise I'll be there soon.
Stephanie, as we wrap up, you are the voice of our customer. I know you talk to Diana a lot about what our customers would like, what they would need, the questions they have.
Yeah.
While you have her pinned down, are there any final questions that you think it would make sense for her and I to dive into?
What's in the future? I mean, what should this audience of admins be excited about this year?
More Salesforce, more live apps. I think that that's the vision that we shared at Dreamforce this year, is being the best productivity tool for Salesforce customers. And I think that live apps give us a way to do that. You see the Salesforce Record live app already, you see Kanban, you see Project Tracker, but what we built was a platform that not only enables us to build things that meet your needs faster, but also lets you work with developers or find developers internally, become developers, and build these widgets that you can add to Quip documents to work the way you want.
Very cool. Anything else you want to share before we go?
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insight of how you're using Quip. We're always eager to hear how different teams are using Quip and getting started. I wanted to make a plug for our support team and the support documentation we have. We have a ton on our website at quip.com. We have a help and training portal. I know, Logan, there's a ton of information there that I think you leverage as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think anytime I have a question before I run over and bug Diana at her desk, I'll look online and see what we have available. My plug would just be to try Quip. I think there's so many tools that are complicated to try or roll out, or they might be intimidating. I know the rest of the Salesforce ecosystem is actually really friendly, and we are no exception. We're easy for one person to try on their own, including all the Salesforce integrations that we just showed. So I'd say get out there, give it a shot, and get in touch if we can help.
Awesome.
Couldn't have said any better myself. Thanks so much.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining us and giving us these incredible demos and inspiring us to bring our teams closer together and collaborate better. To all of our trailblazers out there, thank you so much for joining us. Again, Spring 18 is lit. I mean, it is awesome. So make sure you go and check out all of the other recorded content that we have, all of our release readiness live sessions across all of our clouds. Try out Quip and come right back here for Summer 18 to learn about all the latest enhancements that we're working on right now. Thanks so much.